call the Town of Lake Mills public hearing to order. Notice is hereby given by the Town Board of the Town of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, that public hearing will be held on the 12th of October, which is tonight, 2021, for the review of the amendments to the Town Ordinance 3-1 Public Nuisances. The proposed draft with amendments and ordinance were available at the town's website under ordinances and resolutions. The Town Board will adopt the amended ordinance at the monthly board meeting directly following the adjournment of the public hearings. I'd like to make a call for public comments on the public nuisances ordinance. I'd like to make the second call on anyone that would like to speak on behalf of the public nuisance. I'd like to make a third call on anyone that would like to speak on the public nuisance.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearing session is closed. It is 7:01. It is the town of on October 12, 2021, and I'd like to call the Town of Lake Mills Town Board to order. Notice is posted at the town hall and on the town's website.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Approve the agenda, tonight's agenda. Can we get a motion to approve the first 7 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve September 14th minutes.
Second motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. September 14th minutes approved. Can we get a motion to approve the special meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion for the special meeting minutes on Tuesday, September 21st.
Second motion.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries to approve the special meeting minutes. Approval of the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries to approve the treasurer's report. Approval of the town board expense sheets.
We didn't have any other than the Zoom meeting, which is part of the billing, so.
Oh, okay, all right. Approval of the general fund vouching.
I'll make a motion to approve October's disbursements of $92,814.38.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposing the same sign. Motion carries to approve the general fund vouching. Reports, Chief Miller.
So for September, for the boat patrol, we had 60 and a half hours of patrol. For the boat patrol, we issued 4 citations, 1 warning, and did 4 compliance safety inspections. And the boat is off the lake with the PWC and winterized and in storage. For the road patrol, we had 28 hours of patrol, handled 1 complaint, spent 2 hours on that complaint, had 11 traffic stops, 5 warnings, 7 citations, 5.5 hours on stationary radar, 2 ordinance citations issued, 1 residence check, 3 park checks, and 1 extra patrol. Squad was down most of the month. It's been burning oil. It's under warranty. We've been dealing with this for the last 2 or 3 months. You got to jump through hoops to get a new engine. We did get a new engine, and it should be back tomorrow. So it's been down for a while.
Wow.
Other than that, that's about it.
Thanks, Chief Miller. Plan Commission report.
We did not have a meeting, but if I could, I'd like to say a little bit about the convention, if you allow me to do that. A couple things that I attended the convention yesterday, town's convention. One thing I did learn about Class B liquor licenses. That the one because Moe's is closed now, that's a regular license. That's not a reserve. So it always
Right.
I didn't know that,
Oh.
but maybe you,
Yeah, I did.
okay, all right.
So if
just
somebody else comes in, do they actually need to pay that full amount again for that license, is my understanding?
They do not have to pay the $25,000.
They don't,
That's
okay.
only for reserves.
That's reserves, okay.
Yep, so that, once it's a regular license, it always remains a regular license.
Got it, okay.
And the reserves are the ones when we reach that population.
Right, that we can add to them, yeah.
Yes, so
Or
that's
we
one-
can sell them to the city if they'd like to have them.
Yep. On ARPA, it wasn't that informative, a lot of questions, so he never even made it through his presentation. Got maybe 1/4 of the way through it. A lot of questions out there, still not too many answers. The only thing of note is, and you probably know this too, that the report that was due at the end of October is now pushed to April 30th,
April.
they said. So, because they don't have the rules written or the forms written, so. Federal government's way behind on that stuff. He did say that we should do the revenue calculations, and they sent those spreadsheets, and maybe if we could print them off for budget time and
Okay.
we start looking at them. I think the only other thing that I got out of it was there's a Senate Bill 506, which relates to speed limits for ATVs on designated routes. Right now, there is discussion in the state of, we put a 35 mile per hour speed
Right,
limit.
yep.
It's lower than car traffic speed limits. There is discussion whether the towns, municipalities can do that. So there's Senate Bill 506 is being introduced to clear that all up and change the statutes that will allow towns and municipalities to lower the speed limit on ATV, UTV trails. So right now, we've got an ordinance that, if it was contested, probably wouldn't be legal. But anyway, hopefully they get this through and cleaned up, and we have to pay attention to that, because if it doesn't pass, then we're going to have to change our ordinance. That's all.
Okay. Excellent. Thanks, Jim. Cambridge Fire and EMS report, Dave?
On our meeting we had last Thursday, we went over the building committee's, Jim's recommendations, taking a closer look at the Schedule A and the Schedule B, and right now we're kind of torn between, because we're not really sure that either one of those schedules would fit the ownership or the footprint of the property right now, by going to the west.
Right.
But that is, still, under investigation yet. But trying to take a look at all the options to see, where it's going to fit in. Right now, one of the things that our chair was suggesting that to everybody go back to their boards to see what kind of a number would you guys still support. Now, on our referendum, it passed at $6.5 million. And the electors approved it, and it was also approved by the board. So I guess my question to you guys is, do you still support the $6.5 million? Because one of the things they're talking about, is going back to referendum. They're trying to get it in for the next election, but it's going to be pretty tight. I don't know if that's going to happen. So I do have one number coming back from the town of Christiana, what they are looking to support, and I don't know if we can cut that much. But, and for us, it's just kind of a little bit of a formality, because we already have a not to exceed number. And Mark Cook, the treasurer secretary, he is checking into it, because that referendum passed in the town of Lake Mills and also in the village of Rockdale, to make sure that if there is a new referendum ran, that we do not have to do it, which I'm assuming, as long as we don't exceed our not to exceed number, we should be good, so we can save, that effort to do that. So, I don't know. You guys have an opinion that I can take back to them?
Would that need to be in the form of a motion, though, or is that?
No, just inquiry. It does not. Just trying to get a feel for what you guys are thinking. To try to get, the referendum
I think
to pass.
I think like you're right, that the maximum 6.5 million. If you go over that, you're gonna have to do another referendum to the town bill. So
Right.
you need to keep it under that.
Yeah.
If you go back to the other 3 municipalities at 6.5 million again, I'm sure you're gonna fail again.
Yep.
This is my
Yep, I
opinion.
agree.
So I would think your best bet is to pick a number not to exceed somewhere between 5.5 and 6 million.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking, that 5.8, 5.9, depending on what we get now. Devin was there, and we were talking with him a little bit, and so now we're kind of in the process of going back to the engineer and estimating committee to see what we can cut and what you can leave for bank space or blank space for future expansion, and what square footage we can totally cut out of this building to make it attractive to the other municipalities. So,
Yeah, I agree with Jim 100%. I think with inflation creeping up and some other things, I think there's a lot of people on edge.
yeah, and that's another big thing, the building material costs, they are coming in line, but they still are very, very expensive. So,
And we have, other potential costs that we may incur to, that we found out recently.
right, which is going to be a really tough. I did the math on that one, and it's going to really hurt me.
So,
But anyway, so I'll kind of take that back to him, and we have a meeting we had a meeting scheduled for the 14th, but that was going to be a continuing of our closed session, which when that is done, it's a sensitive matter. I will tell you guys all about that. But anyway, that meeting, due to a medical issue, that meeting got canceled, but we do have a meeting scheduled for the 28th to meet with the architects and to see what the rest of the boards came up with, a number they were going to support, and see if we can get this thing to fit. So,
all I would say is I would say, how low can you go on needs-based only in this type of environment, because it's, we're going to be staring at some pretty.
yeah, it's
Every community is for the next, going into the next couple of years.
it's a tough road.
Cambridge Facility Committee.
That one's done.
Okay, so we could take that off?
You can take that off.
Okay.
We gave our final report to Dave, which is what he was talking about.
Okay, got it. Joint Rock Lake Committee report. Is there a delegate tonight that's going to report? No report? Okay. Road maintenance report. All current road maintenance has been accomplished. Farner finished up. Mike came back out and looked at a few things. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I just saw him there a day or so ago. Just to check a couple of the spots that we had talked about on our road tour. Crossman Road is plugging away. There was one exponential cost. It was like $4,500 to, where one of the culverts was aligned near one of the guardrails or whatever, and I just kept that moving because
Yep.
there's a lot of
Yep.
people on the edge. We are below budget too, which is good news there. It sounded like they were going to pave real soon here, so weather permitting, hopefully that holds up. We get that part of it accomplished. So, other than that, went around, looked at a couple of more areas, just looking at some potholes, some stuff that we probably have to take care of this fall yet. Some minor stuff. Other than that, summer maintenance, late summer maintenance is complete. Exeter ETZ committee.
Don't have anything to report, other than I would like to get this map blown up to a 24 by 36 in color, and then hang it in the town hall for reference.
Okay.
I checked on it, it'd probably be somewhere around $20.
20, and that's the one that was on the city's website, correct?
Correct, the one that you sent.
Okay, I've got that one, actually.
Can you get approval for that?
I think that's just kind of an administrative
That's a
need.
supply, yeah.
Okay. That was it.
Parks Committee report?
Yeah, we've had a couple meetings now with the new committee. 5 of us on there, basically really haven't done too much, just identified a few things that Light looked into right away and kind of getting an idea for the future, long-term, short-term goals. So I guess we'll be talking a little bit later about that. Or am I bringing that up now?
You can do it whenever you want. I didn't know if you had to leave or you're...
No, I think I'll leave, I can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep moving then. Period of public comment. If anyone has any public comment, now is the time to say that. Since we have a busy meeting, once again, you're not able to speak unless you're called upon by one of the town board members.
And make sure you do sign in if you want to speak, please.
I signed in. Okay, I'm Wendy Davies, resident of the township in Cedar Lane. I want to just say that I'm very optimistic about the town board's position that the Majala Channel project include the entire channel to the lake. This situation has gone on long enough for all of us. Please continue to do whatever you can to clear this issue up. And we really hope that you continue to take the lead on this project. I know the residents on Cedar Lane and the Majala Channel will support whatever efforts need to be supported to get this situation cleared up. Already, through no fault of their own, 3 residents can no longer use their piers for boat lifts on the channel. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Mike Workout. I just had a comment on road repair. I know when you did Sturwood Hills roads, they did a pretty good job. I guess the only thing I would say is next time we do something like that, we should probably sweep the road first. Because I've noticed that after the rains now, the sand is kind of washed away, and you can see some areas where they probably should have filled in along the gutters and so on. So just a thought anyway.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, John Pure from Woodfield Lane. For elections going forward, that we only get funding from taxpayer-funded sources and no other sources.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Going once, going twice. Okay, 9 applications. Old business. Discussion or decision adoption of the amendments to Town Ordinance 3-1 public nuisances.
Just one comment. I still don't think that 315 is quite right. But I would like it to read, whenever a complaint is made to the town chair, or to the town, take out chairperson, that a public nuisance exists within the town of Lake Mills, the town chairperson shall be promptly notified. I still don't like the word they, because you're referring to a singular town chairperson.
Okay.
Or take out chairperson and leave they. But I think the town chairperson is the only one that should be contacting the police about it.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve the ordinance 3-1 with that amendment.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries to adopt the amendment to the public nuisance ordinance.
And does that go into effect once it's published
Once it's put up on the website, yeah.
and signed?
Yep.
Discussion or decision of the redistricting following the 2020 census, including creating wards within the town of Lake Mills by resolution and creating printing of ward maps.
I got it. Okay, so one thing that's kind of a big change for the town of Lake Mills is in the past, we've always had one county supervisor. Now we're going to have two. We're on supervisor number 2 and supervisor 15, which was our past one. So we had kind of finagled things around a little bit so that we had about, well, Short Hills area is very difficult to get a lower number in population within a ward. We do not use the wards for voting purposes. With a little finagling, we were able to keep the area around Short Hills, which is Ward 1, under 1,000, which is ideal. It made the northeast corner a little messy. The mobile home park off of Highway A is part of Ward 1, and then the rest of the areas northeast all are part of Ward 2.
So the orange Short Hills and the trailer court are
Ward 1, yes.
Ward 1. So then I've got a new supervisor instead of Steve Aston.
Correct, you have supervisor number 2.
Anything north of County Terminal B.
Right. And the county, I know, worked really hard on trying to make the supervisory districts as even as possible, and that was the one thing they had to do.
Need a motion.
Can we get a motion, yes?
Yeah, the resolution.
Resolution, creating wards in the town of Lake Mills.
I make a motion to approve the resolution 2021-1012 for the redistricting.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Redistricting forward. Discussion and or decision of proposed intergovernmental project agreement with the town of Oakland for the construction of Oak Lake Road and STP grant. There's not much to report here, other than I got emails off to, or an email off to Brian to let him know that in 2022 that this will be something that we'll be working towards. Hopefully, if everything works out with our road projections. So not bad to play a waiting game there a little bit, but other than that, we shouldn't have to revisit that until 2022. Discussion and our decision of update of HOA drainage ditch and bridle path by Contes. Corey has not gotten over there yet. He's been slammed with a lot of our projects. Obviously, so he just has not made it back over there. I did contact Heather. They couldn't be here tonight anyway. And they thanked us for notifying them that nothing had been done yet. So we will take a look at that, hopefully, and get that accomplished in November. Discussion and our decision to form a committee with appointments to serve on the Town Hall Facilities Committee.
It's currently tabled unless we have someone step up, so we don't have to do anything with it right now. This just stays on table.
It stays tabled. Discussion and our decision of Joint Rock Lake Committee budget. So I see they want to go to a conference. The only thing I always think that stuff is beneficial. The only thing I see on here, though, is I think they want to send 2 people, and I think if we do this, I think the town supports one and the city would support the other, and break that cost up in half. That's all I really have to say on it.
Hi, Susan Trier for the Joint Rock Lake. We had recommended 2 people since there are 3 town people on the board, and we would let the city make the determination on whether or not they would support any of the two people, or potentially two people, that supported them. But that was the thinking of the committee.
One thing to keep in mind, if more than 2 attend, we do have to post it as a quorum notice.
Well, they have 5.
Right. If they have 3 people
Oh, you
attend.
mean-
They'd have, if another.
2 from the town.
I still recommend, just with budgeting issues in the township, that, my feeling is, sending one person is better than sending, nobody to something like this, at least at this current point in time. I don't know what your feelings are, gentlemen.
Yeah, one could bring back the information and inform the others, like I did tonight on
Yeah.
the convention. So you want to cut that in half?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, 580, or, yeah, 250, 40, 290.
Well, you have it, it's $579 per person.
Per person, yeah.
So it
It's
would be-
290 for one person.
No, it's $579 per person.
Oh, per person. I'm sorry, I read
Yeah.
it. All right, my mistake. Told you I was tired.
Conferences aren't cheap anymore by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, this is probably one of the ones that's lesser than most. Can we get a motion to approve one person attending the conference based on,
Are we going to do the rest separately, the other that they've asked for? So we're going to do them individually? Number 1, number 2?
Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
Number 3?
yep, absolutely.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve sending of one person to the meeting for $579.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries to approve one person to attend the conference.
So, and the next one is to do a survey of residents, right?
Just one clarification, this is for the 2022 budget, not for this year, just in case. I don't think we really reference that very clearly.
Comment on that one?
Yeah, any discussion on it?
Well, I would just make a couple of comments. I don't have, first off, this was done already. The survey, I believe, was already done a few years back in the Rock Lake Management thing. I just don't see redoing it again. If he did redo it again, I would just do the lake owners, the riparian owners, my opinion, that they are the stewards of that lake shore, and you're trying to protect their the lake shore from waves and wake and erosion action from waves. So I don't see that everybody in town that owns, or city that owns a boat needs to comment on this. It's for the protection of the shoreline, the people these are just my opinions. If I were to do it, it would just be the riparian owners. But I just don't see any need to do it again. I think just move forward with it, or done commenting.
Dave, any comments?
I agree with Jim. I think those are the most important, people, because you're trying to protect their property. And
So we'll just move past that one. Focusing on our educational mandate, this would be
So then,
both.
just for clarification, the agreement is that we don't need an additional survey in support of the 200-foot slow no wake, that we could use the Rock Lake Improvement Lake Management Plan data? That's what I'm hearing. I just wanted to make sure I understand.
That would be good.
All right, I'll make a motion that we do not do a another survey and just use the Rock Lake Improvement Association plan, long-range management plan.
Do we get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, and the same sign. Motion carries 3 votes to 0 to use the existing survey.
And the other one, as far as education, I mean, I think education's always good. I did go on the boat tour a couple weeks ago. It was pretty informative. I think, if anything, I think the $1,650 would be a good expense, but I don't know if our budget can afford that. But
Is it something that could be used for the Rock Lake funds, or the launch funds? Do we need to ask the DNR about that?
I read that list we got.
Typically,
There's nothing in there on education.
Yeah,
Just want to
typically
make sure we
not.
have that clear.
Yeah, I don't know if we could pass that one or not.
No.
Okay.
So this would have to come from taxpayers.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the city, I mean, I feel the city should contribute to that also, but rather than just the town.
I 100% agree with that. I think it should be a split. In fact, they have just as many people, use the lake, especially not necessarily that live on the lake, but, in the community that use the lake, pile out of the city. So it would be very, very helpful to do a split on that cost.
Yeah.
That the city
So
approves half?
what I would, I'm not going to make a motion yet, but what I would recommend is that we do budget half of this, $1,650, so $825 on the town's budget. Have the Joint Rock Lake Committee go back to the city and ask them for the other $825, and then if they get that, then they can move forward with it in 2022. Sound like a plan?
It sounds totally amenable to me. The question I have is, it's not clear to me how I approach the city on that. And then when you read the ordinance, it says something about the town bills the city, maybe Sharon knows something, more about it. I don't think we've ever billed them before. So I guess I would really like direction on that. I would hate to just
But we're not
responsible to go over
we're not going to
there.
bill them without them approving it.
Correct.
I mean,
So
that would-
Well,
you
like I
have
said, what's the
two city,
process?
you have two city members on Joint Rock, well, one.
No, I have-
One right now. They could go to the city council and request
Yep.
the approval of it. And then once it's approved, well, okay, we could budget the full amount, but if they approve that and send us a letter or something that
Okay.
they're going to pay
I just didn't know
that'd
the process, so I was just asking for assistance.
But you wouldn't be able to move forward until you got that approval back to the town.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, anything that the Joint Rock Lake Committee does, whatever they do with the town, the city should be approached at their council meeting because they're part of the committee, so they know what's going on.
That's how the Joint Rock Lake was set up in the first
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
And that's why they were set up, because we needed the city to be talking to the town, because there was no discussion before between either one. So we formed that committee to make sure that happened.
So I'll make a motion to approve the budgeting of $1,650 on the town condition, and then the condition is that the city would have to contribute the other half of it before they move ahead.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposing, the same sign. Motion carries.
So we got 1,650 plus 580.
There's just another note on the end of this, but
There was?
there's no budget or money attached to it, so budgeting is complete.
If you do, everything passes, the signage, updating of the signs can come out of the Rock Lake boat
That
launch fees.
that can come out of launch
Yeah,
fees.
Right, that can
Yeah.
come out of launch fees.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we don't need to budget for that.
Yeah.
We only made that note that the signs are showing a lot of need for repair, and we didn't think it would be smart for the town to spend money repairing it if you're going to change the zone, the zone rate, so we were asking to hold until that decision was made.
Right.
Okay, discussion and or decision to propose Joint Rock Lake Committee shoreline zoning brochure. So there's been a barrage of information coming across the board here. I just want to clarify that the city did not support or approve the brochure. I think you saw the emails.
Waters? I know, I forwarded them. That's the problem with these email strings.
Yeah.
Okay, they did not support this brochure?
They did not support the brochure, and also, I think it's bullet C in here, in this document here, double-sided document. Actually, it's bullet D. The brochure was presented to both the City Council and the City's Planning Commission by the Rock Lake Improvement Association. Now, when we went to we asked the Joint Rock Lake Committee to obviously go over there and ask them if they had any ideas or concerns about the brochure, and I don't think that ever happened.
No, that's incorrect, Tom. We did have an extensive meeting with the people in the city. At the time, we talked to Dan Drescher, the city.
When was this? What was the date?
I did not bring that information with me. It was, but Patricia Cicero.
May.
Yeah, Patricia Cicero was there, the ombudsman was
About
there.
May. It was right
May.
after I started back in May of this year.
Yeah, but we asked them in one of our recent meetings, it's been after May, to go back to the city and ask them what their concerns and
Well,
ideas were, and that didn't happen.
Can I say what the results of that meeting was? So we felt that we were fine. Obviously, we wouldn't not follow advice. We had input from Dan Dresser, which was very strong, like, well, I would just put down the code. Don't try to interpret, just put down the code. The ombudsman was like, this is a great material that I could really use for educating citizens. This is really, really important. Dan Drescher said, well, maybe Rock Lake Improvement should put it out. Then, so we said we'd take the information, we'd get it back to them. The only reason RLIA gave the presentation was to just divide up resources, because at the time that John Thody did that, I was already presenting here. So we just thought, we didn't see it as a us versus them sort of thing. But since there's so much confusion on what informal support and formal support is, which we need to understand.
They never supported or endorsed the document. I got the information from Greg Waters, the president
I
of the City
understand,
Council.
Tom, but from our perspective.
So you can't say that
I
because it
said we
didn't
didn't
happen.
understand. I said we don't understand.
You're
what
taking
it means.
words out of their mouth, and Greg copied you on the same email.
I
And
understand.
they're not happy about it.
Tom, I understand, I read that same email. I read that they had requested a disclaimer, and I inform you that that disclaimer was not communicated to us. Patricia did not hear that disclaimer. RLIA did not hear that disclaimer, and that disclaimer includes the county, which is not correct since the county did approve it or supported it. So I suggest that we take off the JRLC from the brochure, leave it as just Rock Lake Improvement Association, which has already been done, and then we will learn, as a committee, we will learn how to get something formally approved using the beach safety protocol. Because
We're
again,
talking about shoreline
I
brochure right now.
understand. So I'm just saying, we will learn how to do it correctly so that everybody formally supports something on something else. On this, we've just taken off the Joint Rock Lake Committee, so we don't have to worry about it, and we'll just be put off by a separate nonprofit organization, RLIA.
Well, what's worrisome about it is the process. And
It's
good
unfortunate.
process was not followed, and
unfortunate
as
that
well
you
as
joined late.
documentation. Because I personally, I didn't have a lot of qualms about the document, except a few language issues that wasn't come back to the board with, which should always be legally vetted. Has to be legally vetted anytime you come out with a document like that, because there's liability issues to think about. But what's bothersome to me is that, we specifically asked in a previous meeting for the Joint Rock Lake Committee to go back to the city and get their concerns or ideas. That did not happen. And then he went on to say that they supported it, which they didn't, which is kind of embarrassing to the, as a town board member, that, we're speaking for them, and that's not what they spoke. So, using good process is imperative, because when you produce an educational document like this that revolves around essentially law, people have to follow the law, but then our own committee didn't, they didn't follow a good process. So it's basically telling people, like, well, I can do, we can do what we want, but you have to do this. You have to abide by the law. Well, that's, we don't want those types of situations to happen. So, honestly, at this point in time, obviously, it's, you guys can do what you're going to do, taking the JRLC name off, but I think the town board has to, make a decision to, obviously, based on things not being complete here and up to standard, get a motion to, not approve the document.
It's unfortunate that document fell right into the crack between getting a new town board and not. I mean, that process was started in January. It's been a very, very long and well-vetted out process. I'm sorry that it hasn't stood to the comments of late. We were baffled, and we hope that it doesn't happen again, and we hope to start again with the beach testing protocol. I stand behind that document. I think it's very well done. I understand that you're uncomfortable with it, and so I believe we'll find the middle ground by removing the Joint Rock Lake name from it and leaving it as a document vetted through the Rock Lake Improvement Association for shoreline owners.
Yeah, I think with the right approach, I think, the city probably would have been, more receptive to it. But once again, I think there's been friction between the town and city in the past, and we don't want that friction anymore. We want things to definitely roll smoothly. In the future, process is everything, and you have to remember the JRLC operates under the town board, and everybody else is a stakeholder. So you don't have the authority to delegate to an independent organization to go speak on behalf of something if you are the ones that are, creating, something like this, like an educational document.
It was joint.
It doesn't matter. You're dealing with an independent organization, and you represent the town of Lake Mills. So we have to protect the town of Lake Mills residents at all costs from liability and other issues. So everybody else is an independent organization outside of your committee in the town. So you have to remember that. So when we're dealing with that, like, in any type of situation that you're given to do or, to make a recommendation on, it's necessary to come back to the town board and ask, hey, probably wouldn't have had a problem with a delegate going to that. But, they could be speaking on behalf of something else, and now you're in a joint effort that could create liability issues. So that's just something to learn by, and I think, in the future, make sure things are documented. If somebody is saying that they're supporting or endorsing something or approving something, make sure it's documented. I mean, documentation is key. So can we get a motion?
Well, we never approved it, right?
It didn't approve it at that line, so I think it just goes forward.
Yeah.
So we don't even probably need a motion.
The only question I have is that this is not going to be on our town's website then?
Perhaps a motion might be good to state that the Joint Rock Lake name needs to come off and where it should or shouldn't be posted.
Well, if it's a Rock Lake Improvement Association document now, it'll be on their website. It shouldn't be on ours at all.
Okay.
Right? I mean, for liability.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I make a motion to, if it's on our website, to remove it. Make a motion to remove it.
Second?
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3 votes to remove from our website. All right, where are we here? Discussion and or decision of driveway permit review for Crowville Road owned by Amanda and Brian Wallace. I think this will be quick. They need an engineer drawing, and I don't think this is engineered. Is it?
Well, if it's a 14% slope, it doesn't require one.
Is that,
I mean, this is just their driveway plan of what they're gonna do, the way I see it.
Well,
wasn't it the length and everything else? too, I thought?
it was this cul-de-sac and this turnout. This turnout's not, it should be, this turnout should be down here, someplace here, 60 feet long. And total width 20 feet. I mean, we can send this to our engineer and have him just review the ordinance and this and see if it complies, but I can tell you right now, it does not comply. And these people, I know you've been talking to them, Dave, and stuff, but an engineer drawing, I'm not really, well, it's in our ordinance. I really feel that it should be done. I mean, they should have somebody draw this thing up. Or we'll give it to our engineer and he'll draw it up and we'll just charge him. But this 100 feet up here, it's not a 100-foot turnaround the way, I mean, I don't know how they could ever, they say it's 100 feet here. But if you draw a 100-foot circle here, it's going to take, that portion right there is not in that 100-foot circle. It's not a complete cul-de-sac or turnaround. The other option is they could do a T up here. They could come in and do a T and come like that, where this would be 60 feet long and it'd be 120 feet. So you can pull a truck up in here, back it up, and go back out. I mean, our ordinance is really pretty specific about this driveway. And if we let, I know I harped on this, but if you just let this one go, these people have to understand that if you're going to have a 1,000-foot driveway, you got to have access. And the other option, which I learned at the Towns Association, is you write up a letter stating that the town cannot provide you with emergency services because your driveway does not meet Ordinance 5-7, and send a copy of it to their mortgage holder, and that will get them off the dead center.
Yeah.
And that's what they said at the Towns Association. That's the way to handle this. And this was talked about too. I mean, this stuff is talked about. Fire departments cannot access these driveways. And then they're supposed to go up there with big equipment, and equipment keeps getting larger and larger. You know that, Dave.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They pull their hook and ladder truck up there. That thing's, I don't know how long that thing is. Maybe,
70 feet?
Yeah.
45 feet. But to turn that thing around and get it back out, you need twice that distance, at least twice.
Well, I think we already asked that with her.
I know,
Let
but
them know that we needed an engineer drive. We didn't get that.
Yeah.
And we got another piece of paper here, but we can go back to them and ask for the engineer drawing, or we could,
Have our engineer do it.
we can have our engineer do it, or we can let them know that if they're not going to comply, then,
I feel it needs to be in the form of a letter.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we should draft up a letter that they're not
Yep.
complying with Ordinance 5-7. And get them off dead center and produce a drawing. And then it's going, whatever drawing they do, Dave, you mentioned this, that from now on, maybe we should have our engineer do driveway permits?
No, our building inspector.
Building inspector?
Because he is constantly going out there to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because some of these driveways, they do not install the culvert until the cement is poured, and then they pull them out, and it then needs to be checked on.
Make a note to put that on November's agenda.
And I don't know, I guess we'd have to talk to Chris to see what the expense of that be. Would it be $50? You know, do we need to raise our application fee to $150 to cover that, or
It would
do we
be
swallow a little bit?
Part of their contract that they can write into the contract, and the fees would be established based on what covers the inspection costs, and then whether or not we want to earn a little money off of it or not for our administrative costs. too.
Right, yeah,
So-
sounds fair enough. Because otherwise it gets to be confusing of, if our building inspector issues all the permits, he should issue all of the permits. Yeah, otherwise it
He
gets
has
confusing.
a question on one, and he needs to bring it to the town board. It's better for the member who, have all three members vote on it rather than.
Right, yeah,
Absolutely, yep.
otherwise it gets to be a tug of war.
So I'll make a motion that we send these people a letter stating that they need to comply with ordinance 5-7. And-
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries 3-0 to send a letter to comply. Discussion on our decision to update filling holes at North End Boat Launch and Ferry Park. Still going through the permitting process, putting materials and information together for that.
I did contact Alex Brooks from the DNR to get some guidance on finding specs for that, and he did forward a email address for me to inquire.
Okay, excellent. And I got pictures and some other things that I'm putting together in a narrative and everything else that you have to do for it, so. Move on. Discussion and our decision of brushing on town roads and estimates. Okay, you got the town document that I gave you guys. Yeah, if you have any questions on it. The only thing I was going to say about it is, what I did on the brushing aspect is kind of quadrant it off into east, west, north, south, and lake area, which, to try to group things together a little bit. Obviously, with budget issues, we're not going to be able to tackle all
Yeah,
of it.
I saw that right away.
So,
The worst roads were Sherwood Hills area, weren't they?
there was some bigger limbs on some of, there was one in that north section, I remember. So, I mean, there's a couple ways we can go about this, and, you can pick individual roads for now, or we can bite the bullet and say, hey, let's just take a quadrant this year and get it on that schedule and try to do another one next year.
Are there any that are going to impede snow plowing at this point?
Yeah, there's
We
those
can
spruce trees up on, what is that, Stony
Creek.
Stony Creek, yeah. And-
So we could identify those, get those taken care of, and then, like you said, concentrate on a zone.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of those higher priority areas. I didn't mark those on here. Shorewood Hills is Shorewood Hills. There's a lot of low.
Lot of trees.
Everything, but it's also probably going to be a highly sensitive area. So doing that one, we want to be well up in front with communication, because that one may not be, probably wouldn't be my place to start just from that facet of thing.
Because now the light and power are in there doing.
They're going to be doing stuff this winter as well, so
Yeah,
we'll have
so-
a way better idea going out winter
Yeah.
and into next year on that one, so.
And the other spot is the hangars. Couple calls, Newville Road by Randy Cools, and then up there just off the intersection of B. I think the ones by Randy Cools there, those are kind of tough because those are big and they're hanging pretty low. And they are going to end up in the road sometime. I don't know. I've talked with Randy a little bit because they're really his trees, but they're hanging in our road. So I don't know. We have to wait for them to fall before to do something.
None of this is easy.
I know.
None of this is easy, I can tell you, because people they don't like when their trees are being chopped down and everything else. Now, the other facet of this too, if you go to the back of the document where the zones are listed, you can count the trees that we kind of counted along the way on the road trip too. So, looking at what we have left in the budget, I think we just need to make a determination on what do we want to spend on brushing, and do we use our emergency service tree guy that we have scheduled through the rest of the year and cap him at a certain number to get get these trees done that are listed here.
Did Jason Forrest identify any specifically for snow plowing? Did you guys ever
They're
get
all
out?
over. No, they're all over. And we actually, that was one of the primary things that we looked at, knowing Corey was going to be highly measuring our roads up, so.
So,
Brushing and trees.
we want to concentrate on these dead trees first?
I would say that, and then maybe get estimates. I can target some areas and high-end areas out of the certain quadrants. It's probably not even going to be all of them.
Right, yeah.
But we could get estimates and then have a good idea in November, and, once then the leaves are off too.
The dead trees, we know where they're gonna go. They're gonna go in the road. So that's one thing I agree with Jim, we need to take a look at, make sure we get those done. The other thing is, if we concentrate on, I know it's all a safety issue, but Hope Lake Road on the curve, they're definitely hanging way into the road, and it's a problem. It's been there. It's getting worse and worse and worse.
Yep.
The visibility is really bad, so I think that spot there, even though there's other spots in the road, that one spot, I think would be a safety concern to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
Yeah.
No,
I
we
agree
were
with
there.
you.
We saw that one. I
agree with
remember
you.
that whole road there was a couple spots on that.
but we can kind of live with the rest. I think, for now, if you wanted to, pick out.
Although I hate to send somebody here or there.
Yeah, I know,
on that
yeah.
road.
It's just that
Get the road out and be done.
$9,000 is not going very far,
Hope Lake Road. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 spots.
Yeah.
They're distances too, so
Okay.
they're, not all of them that were created equal, but.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want a dollar amount? You got 24,800 left?
Can we count on all that?
Yeah, I was going to ask that, how much?
I don't know.
No,
We really only
we
can count
gotta
on.
leave reserve, so.
You got some potholes,
Yeah, we got potholes and, yeah, we gotta leave reserve here, so.
so it's 15,000 for trees?
Jim, I don't know, because we don't have that $24,000 in our pocket. That is strictly a projection of
Yeah.
what's going to be left, and we're already using up $4,700, which is going to be money well spent, Tom.
Say there's 10 trees here.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be more than $1,000 a tree if Matt does it.
Right.
Not the way he's been operating based on his costs that have been coming through,
So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, you got 9 dead trees,
yeah.
$10,000.
I would even go less than that and see where it comes out, and if we need,
Make a
change
priority
order on
list
it.
of the dead trees?
At discretion, you know what I'm saying? Maybe do 7 and have a discretionary 3 on top of that. Because I'd be surprised what he's been coming in at some of these trees. It's the one big one that's going to get you a little bit more than that.
Well, why can't we just go 10, not to exceed 10?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. I make a motion to do the dead trees, Hope Lake Road, and not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
Any other
And
discussion?
Tom's going to run this operation.
Please.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposing, the same sign. Do we need a separate motion to get estimates on any of the other areas? We'll move on.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not sure we have enough budget and money.
We don't have money, so.
Okay, it's
I
just a
think we'll
question.
wait till after the first of the year.
Okay. Motion did carry as well.
If there's no snow, then there's no snowbank and we have extra money, right?
Hopefully. That's all we can hope for.
Yeah. Won't happen, but.
Should we communicate to Forrest that the Power and Light are going to be working on taking some trees out of the Shore Hills area? So he's aware that there is going to be some trimming occurring?
Which one?
Should we let Jason Forrest know that the Power and Light are going to be doing some trimming in the Shore Hills area?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to touch base with him here soon anyway.
All right.
I can let him know. Yeah, they're doing a pretty good section this year, which I have to talk to the city guy about too, so he hits it fairly hard. Discussion or decision on ARPA funds.
There's really nothing to discuss other
To
than
discuss on.
printing off those sheets that you asked.
Yep. Discussion and/or decision of developing a town donations policy.
Now, the formatting on that was a little off because I did it very quickly because we didn't have anything started. They had talked about just looking at the draft we had from another town.
It's fairly lengthy, but it's also something that I would suspect we would need to have Eric Larson, our attorney, look at and review and get his perspective on it as well. Because he may, and to keep the ball rolling, I think we should pass it along. I don't know if you had any other.
I think we should tone it down a little better first.
And he may even make that recommendation based on what he sees too.
Well, I would
As far
say we
as-
should probably do it ourselves first and then send it, but that's kind of a more normal process. We get it down to a more final draft at our end first.
A couple pages.
And then you run the risk of missing something legally that you wanted back in. So I think you're better off to go with this. I've read it. I don't think
Okay.
it's too far off. And then let him come back and take stuff out if he wants.
Yeah, if there's something that doesn't look right legally or whatever.
There are a few things your deputy treasurer keeps mentioning, deputy treasurer.
Yeah, we don't have any of that depth of staff.
Town administrator should be town chairperson a few times. It's in there. That's all.
But that's just language.
Yeah, that's just-
We could clean that up after.
I'll work on cleaning that up. I
Can-
thought I captured all those, but
Can we get a motion to send this document off to the town attorney, Eric Larson, to have him review and give us input?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries to move on the gifts and memorial policy to our attorney. Discussion and new business, discussion and or decision of additional no outlet signage on Dolores Lane.
she is here.
Yeah.
Two there.
Yeah, I'll get one for Tom. Robin has it. Traffic count for
That's what
Hopewell
came to
Road.
mind when this thing came up.
Did you give a copy to Matt?
No, I haven't yet. I will do that.
Need one more?
Just came to my mind when this sign thing came
Yeah.
up. I was like,
Yeah.
because that's where I lose scope on things.
My name is Dolores Crone Elliott, and I'm a resident of Rock Lake Estates condominiums, and we would like to add a sign at the entrance of Highway B and Dolores Lane that to read either no exit, not a through street, dead end, or no outlet, depending on what the town board uses for that type of thing. And then we would also like another sign that says, attached to it, that says slow watch for pedestrians.
Is there, do you have reasoning or justification as to traffic counts or anything is it getting abused? I don't have a scope on that, and that's what I
Yeah,
always struggle
I
with.
don't have a traffic count, and there are occasionally people coming through, but when they come through, they come at a fairly high rate of speed, and then when they find out they can't get out, then they get around and leave very quickly.
Not
so-
the Amazon guy, is it?
No, no. Or the UPS guy, or they're there a lot, but no.
Does that meter recorded speed too, or no?
Yes, oh yeah. Yeah, I do.
I wonder if that would be a good idea, if we could get a loan on that to put on that road.
Yeah, I could ask, you know.
I'd just be curious, because
How many residents are up there?
There are 25 units. About 3/4 of the units have 2 persons, and so that's a car for each of those persons. So there's a good amount of traffic coming in and out, and that's why we also like the slow sign for pedestrians. You know, if you're out there walking your dog or something, sometimes people get a little excited.
I will say, and I mean, I know just living in the Shorewood Hills neighborhood, you know, on grave occasion, you see somebody speeding through.
But
You see somebody speeding through the neighborhood, and a lot of times it's the residents that live there. So,
I had a semi-truck had to deliver something at my house, and he thought he could come in and then turn around, as you were talking about turning around somewhere. No, he couldn't, so we ended up backing all the way out to the road.
the meter's not going to tell us who's going in and out of there.
It's only going to give you times a day, speed, number of axles,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I mean, this is something we could add to our signs budget for 2022.
We'd be willing to pay for it if there's a cost involved.
No, I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, I don't think that's not necessary. But we kind of lump our signs together on an annual basis now, just to make it as efficient as possible, unless it's an emergency or one gets plowed over. Is that okay if we get that up in 2022?
Yeah, when do they get bunched together?
We'll look at it.
Probably
We looked
be
at-
spring.
Yeah, it's spring.
In spring?
Yeah. Yeah, then they come in and do it all at once.
Okay.
Jefferson County does, and it saves the town residents and everybody money as well, just doing it like that versus, you know, the emergency stuff, we have a shot once in a while, because if it's an accident or something,
Yeah,
you
no.
know, the insurance company will pay for it, but if, you know, if they're caught or whatever, but in this case, we've been trying to do our best job to group things together to save costs.
Okay, thank you.
But we definitely want to, you know, keep pedestrian safety in mind and, you know, safety of the general residents. You don't want to, obviously don't want a million extra people and you're in a blocked up area where it all dead ends either, so it's understandable.
Thank you.
Is there?
Do you want a motion then?
Yeah, motion.
I would make a motion to have a sign installed, not a through street sign installed at corner of County Trunk
And
B
pedestrian.
Dolores Lane.
Second,
No, we can do those.
And what was the other one?
and
The pedestrian.
pedestrian.
Pedestrian one?
I'm sorry?
We can
What
do
was
that,
the
we
other
can do
sign?
that on a separate one because
Okay.
it's the same deal.
This one, box for pedestrian?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had no exit, I let people use different terminology.
Well, I think not a through street is
Yeah.
better than dead end and
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries to approve the no outlet sign.
Pedestrian one separate.
Yeah, we'll just do it separate. Can we get a motion to approve the pedestrian?
okay, and I also make a motion to install a slow watch for pedestrian sign on the same post.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and the same sign. Motion carries to put pedestrian safety sign as well.
Spring.
In
Thank
spring.
you.
Discussion enter decision of Lake Mills EMS contract. We have somebody from the EMS here tonight.
Dave is back there.
Dave Larsoul, Lake Mills EMS Service Director.
Hey, Dave.
Hi.
Quite the increase.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we're already a little bit familiar with it, with the discussions that you've been in with the city. There's definitely there's definitely a need for the service, right? We all understand that, and we all support the EMS. I mean, we need those services. You guys do a great job in the community, and it's just, it's one of those necessaries, and we've had good experiences with the way Lake Mills EMS has performed in the past. What I will say is that I'm a little bit concerned knowing some of the history and increases over time, and then jumping to 115% increase. What I start to worry about on kind of more of a business front, without seeing any fiscals, when you see that type of increase, there's got to be some kind of justification with it. And a lot of times when a company's doing something like that, they could potentially be in trouble, and maybe going forward, maybe not even a viable entity. And I guess my philosophy is it would be really nice for the board to be able to see, obviously, that situation and see where the costs are coming from, how the costs being incurred, or is this just throughout time, did stuff accumulate and there's debt? I mean, that picture, I don't have a good handle on, because we want to do our best job to be able to support your efforts, and definitely keep Lake Mills EMS around. And I think everybody would like to see that, in the community.
I'd like to start off by saying some of the reasons why this is occurring is because of staffing. Staffing has been a problem no matter what EMS it is, and if they're telling you differently, then it's probably a story. We also are due for another ambulance. Our last ambulance was purchased in 2016, and we are due for one here at 5 years, and we can't even get it. So those are some of the beginning reasons. I also want to let you know that there are some things that we do provide to your community, such as we don't even bother to charge for transports or anything, unless it's something that we provide something medically to them, such as a medication or something like that. So we are trying to work it out so that we can try and recoup some of that money that way, but it will never catch us up to the cost that we need to purchase the per capita items that we need.
So you have zero run costs money?
What's that?
You have zero run call money?
Zero.
Like $1,000 a call? Because most time insurance companies, if they have insurance, pays that.
No,
'Cause right now we get a per capita cost.
It's 800, and it's 800 if it's basic, 'cause it's 950.
Okay, so you do have a charge.
So we do have a charge.
Okay.
And no offense, but if you guys want to talk anything about fiscal or more, I would appreciate it if we could do it privately, because we don't want to describe our business for obvious reasons that you can probably see.
Are you
So,
I heard through the hearsay that you'll be doing that with the city council, or?
yes, just because of what you saw there with the city doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to come up to be that way. We've already started working on possibly maybe doing a multi-year, so it won't be what the letter told you. I can tell you that right now, so it won't be that much, but we're still working on that.
And Dave Thomas, right, because this is not a private deal. And once you give us that information, it becomes public information.
Yeah, I know.
Now, if you're talking individual employee wages, that's a total different matter. But otherwise, what Tom is requesting for an itemized budget, that is a fair request.
I did not deny that, and I said we will provide it for you. So
I can't guarantee every town resident's going to stare at.
yeah,
I think
no.
they probably have better things to do. But,
Right.
But yeah, I'm just very, very curious, and maybe we don't even have to go down there. I mean, because obviously working through some things with the city as well. I'm speculating. I don't know what their cost is comparable to our cost as a comparable, but I would assume it's the same or very close to.
Yeah,
similar.
it's good.
So whatever happens with them is essentially probably going to be pretty close to what we have.
You and the surrounding jurisdiction, so.
Yeah.
And again, we're also the lowest one in the county and one of the lowest ones in the state on the per capita where we're sitting at right now. So, I mean, a majority of these agencies are at least at somewhere in the low 20s. So.
Is it fair to say that if the city's going to look at that stuff, do we even need to do that? Put them through a whole second round and everyone do all that?
Some of our taxpayer money that.
Yeah,
Kind of
we need to see a copy of the budget and where and how the money is being spent. And I agree with you, your per capita, I've seen some of them high as $90, you know, so you are definitely on the low end, but at the same time, you know, we have to justify how we spend our money, so I think the itemized budget is just a good idea, which I'm sure you have that.
Yeah, well, we already had shared that with the city, but like I said, if you guys would like to do a session, yeah. We have no problem.
Purchase a new vehicle, ambulance?
We want to, but we can't
So-
right now, so.
Okay. So how many years did you amateurize that or whatever? You're not gonna just hit 1 year with that?
No.
So you have a capital budget where you just put that in there and you purchase it on a 5-6
Yes.
year loan? Or
Yes, we would like to do it every 5 years. We're at 395,000.
Well, I mean, what the city does in their fire budget, they always have this line on the bottom, it's 100.
For a reserve.
For reserve
Right.
capital, and it just, that's where they throw all the things that they're gonna purchase, so it's spread out.
Right.
And we do the same thing with our police vehicle. We earmark money every single year. So do you guys have any reserves for replacements now, or is that something you're just gonna start doing?
No, we do have reserves, but it's very, very little.
Yeah, I know it's tough to add to them.
Yeah.
I hear you. I know what you're
It's
struggling.
only a few thousand, it's not that much.
So with the, trying to get employees or EMTs, whatever, is it COVID-related issues?
It was at first, it's starting to come around now, but our problem right now is that with us being as low paid as we are, we can't even give the people that are currently with us raises to continue to function within the organization. So those people are there for 5 minutes and then they're gone. And it's already a field where people don't stay in it very long just for reasons like what you're talking about now. So unless you're doing it as some type of career.
Well, what I'm getting at, in the ARPA funds, if you had to increase wages since January or March of 2020, March of 2020,
Right.
for 2 years basically, if you increased wages because of COVID to get people to work, I think that's information we would want.
Yeah.
We can use ARPA money to retrospective payback.
Some of it is that, but this is mostly from the reason of people being here already and they're not getting anything.
Oh,
And for our capital, which I've told you is mainly that ambulance, it's wages. It's also for another first response vehicle. Our first response vehicle is from 2006. So,
I would say if you could dig up any of that information,
yeah.
that would be great because, you know, they've made it very, the federal government's made it very difficult for townships to use that money. It's, and hence why you saw the report changing to April now because they're still inventing the wheel.
If we are
They're
able,
unleashing the program.
and if we are able to use those funds, we're gonna have to have the documentation to back up what we're using it for. So it can't just be, yeah, we need these funds, we need something in file.
Okay.
Any additional PPE equipment?
Dig hard for it because
We never got reimbursed for any of our PPE. We had to pay for it or get it through emergency
We
management.
would like to, because
Yeah.
we're paying the EMS our portion. We can get reimbursed for the PPE, additional PPEs that you had to purchase
For COVID.
for COVID, for the 2 years, or even now, still
Right.
now.
Yeah.
That's information we need
Okay.
outside of your budget, but
And maybe somebody in your organization can sit down and spend some time on that, because I think it's maybe a worthy venture for your cause anyway.
Right.
Do we need a motion?
I don't think so.
To get the budget. It's going to furnish that for us.
We just furnish it, we budget it, right?
Well, they usually send the letter, which you guys have already received, and that's pretty much all we've ever received in the
Right.
past. So now we are asking for a more detailed budget. If you
But we're
want to
gonna
make
need
a
that
motion or not, that's up to
soon.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then next week or week and
Right.
a half.
Okay, I make a motion that you provide us with
Second.
In their discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
The only thing, Dave, is, is on our budget night, that is a public meeting, so if you wanted to go over your budget, it's tough for time anyway, so we don't want to, take too much time, but if you wanted to go over it, if we have questions, that would be the night that you can meet with us.
Which is
And
what?
we have not set that. We
We're
will set
setting
that
that tonight.
soon.
Oh, okay.
Motion carries. Discussion and our decision of RLIA's request that the town board write a letter of support for their application of a DNR service water planning grant, pre-implementation grant in support of the Majala Tributary Restoration Project. The application is due November 1st. Did we receive a copy of that draft today? Because I did not get one.
We've got the.
You got the letter? That was last Friday.
Yeah.
No, but I had the draft of the actual
The only thing we
grant
saw was
application.
this.
I don't have a copy of the application itself. We have a description of the application.
It hasn't been
This,
filled
correct?
out yet?
It's not been completed.
Hasn't been completed, okay. Because that'd be nice to see that before,
Right.
we go ahead and write that letter of support.
Well,
I have never worked on a grant project where oversight or anybody has not seen what they're going to be writing a letter of support for.
I guess that's not been our experience.
Well,
So, I'm not sure that's up to you to decide whether you feel like that's necessary, but we don't have the application completed. We had a change in plans recently, as you know. So, previously, we had a very ambitious plan. Sorry, I've introduced myself. I'm John Crump, President of Rock Lake Improvement Association. So, we were very ambitious, thinking that maybe we could get things together enough to be able to have an implementation grant this go-around, which would also have been due on the application on November 1st. But there were a number of things that we did not have the information on adequately to be able to do that. So, just in the last couple of weeks, we changed plans, and instead we're applying for a smaller pre-implementation grant from the DNR, which provides a transition between the previous planning grants that we've had in the past for an implementation grant that we hope to apply for next fall, so November of 2022. So the project that we're talking about is the Majala Tributary, which is the upstream part of that drainage system above the Majala Channel. And I think that probably you're all aware that that tributary is what delivers a lot of soil, a lot of silt, down to the channel and ultimately into the lake, carrying a lot of phosphorus and bacteria. And so it's a threat to the lake. And so ultimately, our goal is to remediate that tributary. But we need more specific information. We need to decide on a very specific plan, because now there's multiple different possibilities, and we need to have those drawn up. We need specifics about what would be done so that we can talk to private landowners in the county who also owns property along that tributary, so that we can get their permission to do that work and so forth. So it's also, we need to raise funds, and we can't really raise the funds until we know what we're doing. So we have, with this, we have a much smaller grant that's capped at $10,000 from the DNR. It's a 2/3, 1/3, so RLAA would need to come up with 1/3, which would be roughly $5,000 for the total of a $15,000 grant plus our own dollars. So that's would be paying for the pre-engineering. Basically, this grant is made for pre-implementation grant specifically designed to support the transition between planning and implementation. This includes design work required to make the project, such as ours, shovel-ready. It finances engineering plans, site assessments, modeling, design plans, and cost estimates, which is what we need to be able to apply for a much larger implementation grant. So I think from our standpoint, from my standpoint, I think that the town board and the town has the same goals in mind that we do, which is to remediate the tributary so that we're not delivering all this salt, soil, silt, phosphorus, and bacteria down to the channel and ultimately the lake. So I think we're both wanting the same thing, and I think this is a very doable grant. I think that we've talked to the DNR people who are in charge of the grant and described this to them, and it looks to me like it's something that's favorable in reach, and it would give us the funds to be able to do the work that we need to, so that a year from now we could actually get a grant that would pay for the implementation of the project. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay.
Do you have questions?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The whole entire issue needs to be cleaned up. That's why we dedicated that as a priority project to the Joint Rock Lake Committee, to make sure, doesn't matter if it's the upper portion or the channel itself, regardless of the fact that the whole thing's got to be cleaned up. I mean, it's you do one, the upper portion, which is great, because that's going to solve, if you go and do the cleanup down below later on for a long period of time after that, which is incredibly good. I will say it's a very contentious subject with a lot of different parties, and you probably know that from the past. But it is a very public problem as well. So I would refrain, and I've had good experience with this on some pretty contentious issues in some other areas of invasive species and things way back when we were writing a different law. It's really good to bring all the groups together, because when one group is working on something and other people don't know about it, the anxieties get high. So having everybody at the table, I think, is really, really important. That's why I asked the JRLC to work on the project in its entirety, because otherwise there's groups that think only one thing is getting done and they're not getting help on another front. So I think you have to look at the whole issue, and that's why we asked the Joint Rock Lake Committee to do that. I will say it's a public issue. I think I would highly encourage that whatever's being worked on in the entire project, be part of the Joint Rock Lake Committee meetings where all the stakeholders can participate and be involved in it, because I think that's a great process. I think, you're not always going to get everybody to agree on everything. That's not going to happen. We're all human. But at least everybody's able to participate. And then it eliminates having, private meetings, this or that. Because as a board member, I'm not going to participate in private meetings. I'm a public official, and I feel that the whole board needs to hear the entirety of the issue, and we have a small board. And we all have to be in a position, because we are a small board, to make, a reasonable decision on something when it's being recommended to us. So I think what you're doing is great. Like I said before, I typically, grant projects, you really want to do a great job with them. Fixing the upper portion is great too, but, the DNR is probably also going to look at what's going on with the lower portion, and if you can show some insight onto, how that picture is going to look, that may make the grant more favorable to the grant committee. So that may be part of a narrative or something like that. But it'd be nice to see, if you're filling this out and creating a narrative and everything, to write a letter of support. If I'm more than happy to write a letter of support, but I want the board to approve that. But I also, I think it is right, just like you saw before with another issue, that, we're able to see that before we write that letter of recommendation.
So I provided you with a sample letter of support. And really what we're asking is a very simple letter that just says, we think this is a good idea, and we support you in doing it. We're not asking for a lot of details. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. And I think we're doing something that the town would support, and the town board should support. And I'm not sure that you need to wait for more details personally, but...
May I interject, John, that for this particular surface grant, it's called an external letter. And classically, it's basically a character support for an organization. Like just recently, Rock Lake Improvement Association wrote a similar letter in support of the Jefferson County Soil Builders, and we didn't see their application. We basically said we believe in the group, that they're legit, and that we support their goal of producing farmer-led initiative within the Jefferson County. That's typically what's done in these types of letters. Joint Rock Lake Improvement Association has asked RLI has asked us to write one as well for the Joint Rock Lake Committee, which we will discuss at our meeting in 2 days. So it's not really a review of the grant. It's more that you think the organization is good, will administer the grant, and that the issue is important to you. Those are the 3 things that the DNR has asked that those external letters support. So every grant's different, but this is what
I
this
think the
grant
board
is.
has a right to know what's in the grant. So when you go to write the grant, there's detail, and can be sometimes a high level of detail written into the grant. So if I go down to the bank, I read all the paperwork before I sign my name off on the dotted line, and I would encourage all board members to do that. We're able to see
I
that.
hear what you're saying.
It's just good process to go through and do it the right way. We want to do things the right way, and that's the right way to do it. And I've never been in a grant project where a letter of support has been written without seeing the project in grant form.
So I'll also add that the Land and Water Conservation Committee did provide them with a letter of support based on the project description. That was the same one they provided you all.
Right.
So we haven't reviewed the grant in its entirety either, but felt comfortable providing a letter of support.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you submit by November 1st.
Correct.
Town can send a letter of support after that date.
No.
No?
It needs to go in with the grant.
All right, okay.
But it also means that hopefully, you said that the grant you haven't even started writing it yet, or you have pieces.
We have pieces of it, and we have some things that need to be revised, but it's not ready for...
So you would have ample time to supply it to the board to get the letter of support in time. I don't see a reason to hide it. Why would you?
We're not hiding it, Tom. It's just that I think it would be a good thing for your time to take care of it. It's not something complicated.
Well, maybe a
So-
motion will...
No, but it also keeps it in the public eye so everybody knows what's going on. I think that's important.
Sure. Well,
We wouldn't be able to give you before your next meeting. So you could pass a motion saying that you would provide letter of support, provided that it seems what it is, or something. I don't know how you're going to say it.
No, that we get to see
You
the
know what I-
grant application
Right.
in the form that's going to be sent in.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And then you can draft something up, and we'll try
Right.
to get you what we've done by,
So, right, a motion to support, to write the letter of support pending seeing the grant application. And we can get you a copy of that
And it's-
in the next
it's
couple of weeks.
Final submission form. Yeah, I mean, it's because it's not going to take long. I think you would draft, a letter draft at all. We might alter that a little bit, take a little closer at it, just to make sure that, we're doing due diligence there to, give the support that we need to accomplish the goal.
You just said you'd have some kind of a draft in a couple weeks?
Right.
All right, so we could do this at a budget meeting.
Good.
Yep.
So it has to
Here
be
anyway.
posted, yeah.
We have that information by then, we can have this in an agenda, a special meeting.
So in this letter of support, you're not, there's nothing in there as far as financial, so there's no financial support from the town board. It's strictly from the RILA and the grant money.
absolutely. There's no request for funds, there's no request for resources. It's mostly just a character support.
Sure, right, yep.
How can we get that motion?
What, to hold it until,
The budget.
make a motion that we take this up at the budget, have a special meeting when we schedule our budget.
Second.
By that time, or?
Yeah, we need to draft, otherwise.
Yeah.
And did you want me there or our representatives there at that meeting as well? Or do you want to just look at is that what you're waiting for, is to look at the?
It doesn't hurt, but I'm remaining faithful that everyone will like what they see, and you won't have to go through a whole QA period on that.
So you're okay with just saying the grant? Okay, sounds good. Thanks, appreciate it.
All in, any other discussion on that? You seconded it?
What's that?
Did you second it?
I did.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. To write a letter of support on the basis of seeing the grant, final submission of the grant.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And if you want to hang around for a couple minutes, you're going to find out when we need to have it for the budget. We're going to do that next.
Yeah, that's going to be complicated.
It is.
Because I'm out of town the 20th.
What's that?
I'll be back on the 20th.
When do we have
the 20th?
Department?
Yeah, and 28th is out for me.
Is November, we have to get it done in
For
October.
the shared revenue, or for, we got transportation.
We won't have to because we have to get, unless we have a special.
Right.
meeting.
Or,
Yeah.
or the cap.
Traditionally, it's always like the
Well,
third
let's see,
week
It might be
of
available already. It's
October.
actually coming out sooner
But,
because
you
they do it
know,
all online.
I don't know, is that magic? I mean, other than for these guys,
I guess tentatively we can set it.
Right, we're probably going to want to be, the 28th would be drop dead for them to send that in.
Yep.
26th.
Yeah. Unless they can magically produce something by the 20th, and we were able to meet in the morning of either the 19th or 20th of October.
You're gone the week of the 24th?
I leave the afternoon of the 20th and will be back by 1 o'clock on the 28th.
Oh. 19th? 18th? Not too early?
Hopefully we have all the numbers. I guess we can get it started. If we end up having to do a second one, then we do a second one, but.
Okay. 18th or 19th?
19th is better for me.
19th.
Okay.
What time? I'm whenever, so.
Usually do them in the evening, right?
Usually about 6, don't we start?
Yeah, I try to start a little earlier.
At 6.
That you're going to do the 19th at 6 o'clock?
That work?
Yeah, 7 would be better, but 6, that way it doesn't get quite so late, so I'm okay
Well,
with
daylight
6.
savings time, I think it'd be.
6 o'clock is fine.
No, it's still light, that's right. 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Make a motion to hold the budget budget workshop on the 19th of October, 6 o'clock.
Second?
Further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, on the same sign, motion carries 3-0 to have the 2022 budget workshop.
So Dave, are you going to email a copy of the budget to Robin so we can take a look at that before the 19th? Or are you gonna?
I'm gonna do it as soon as I
Okay,
get back.
all right,
I gotta get to my treasurer first.
okay.
Okay.
And you guys know it's the 19th, so.
Yeah, so just as an FYI, it's not a big deal. We have someone from the DNR assigned to help us make sure our grant is the most competitive as possible. We have our meeting on the 18th where we're going to have a draft. So we'll be able to share with you, their input and what we've given them, but I don't know for sure that it will be the ultimate final. But just to be honest, the 19th is early. But we will give you what the DNR has, what we submitted to the DNR, who's helping us, and have modified it with their input. So it should look pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds
good
enough.
all right, discussion and or decision of seeking estimates of pothole work.
That's the same budget you guys were looking at earlier.
Yeah, I know.
This is for the fall.
I don't anticipate, just to fix those
Few holes.
Yeah, I don't anticipating it. And I don't know, Ron's here tonight, so he can chime in, but
Yeah, and I guess you're gonna be doing some work for the town of Waterloo, so you're gonna be right around here, because I got a complaint on Rock Lake Road today on that one that we all saw.
there's like a dozen potholes. So, I can't imagine that's gonna be over
What do you think?
1,500.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's $100 a hole, right?
I don't know, a bottle like this or a bottle like that, we just charge time.
There's one big one
We're
that's
really-
like this.
we're
The
really-
rest of them are.
We're really fair, we've done that for you many times now, and I don't know.
We just have to cap it.
Yeah,
because
we'll
we're
cap
getting-
it. I'll make a motion that we have Ron do the, Northwest Services do the pothole patching, not to exceed $5,000.
I was thinking
That's-
1,500.
1,500.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, okay, 1,500, but then what if he's short?
call us.
All right, 1,500.
I was second 1,500.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries to do the pothole work.
If it doesn't work out, Ron, you got our number.
Yep. Do you wanna give me the list of what you say they are?
Yeah, I got it. I got it here. I'll email it to you.
Okay.
And I did a little bit.
As soon as the weather gets dry, I'm planning on coming to do Waterloo right away, and that'd be the time to do it.
How fast is that gonna be? Just give me a time frame here.
Well, it's supposed to rain the next, probably next week, Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
something like
All right,
that.
that's all I want to know. It's not tomorrow.
No, it's not tomorrow, no.
All right. Good.
Because that's when I'm gonna come with a full load, and that'll make it cheaper.
Discussion or decision removal of dead trees throughout the town. We already kind of
Covered that, yeah.
Discussion and or decision of rescinding Town Ordinance 3-3, regulation of slaughterhouses, the slaughtering of animals, the sale of meats, and preparation of meat food products.
Okay, so I did a little research about repealing ordinances, because we got the opinion back from the Towns Association about our very old ordinance, that they're not even sure why we have it, because it's all regulated by the state. I think I forwarded that all to you guys.
Yep.
What the Towns Association says about repealing an ordinance is you have to repeal it the same way that it was adopted. So if it went through a public hearing when it was adopted, it has to be repealed by going through a public hearing first. This is so old, I could not find how this was even brought about.
Mike, did you pass this one?
Let's see, what year was this? I don't know if it even
I think
says.
it was before my time.
Yeah, it's-
I believe it because there's spittoons in here yet.
If we are unsure of how it was, came to be, the town board can actually just make a motion to repeal it you just run the chance that somebody may challenge it or maybe considered done incorrectly.
We can hold a public hearing, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, that'd be.
I make a motion to schedule a public hearing at our next town board meeting.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposing, the same sign. Motion carries 3 votes oh. Have a public hearing for the rescinding of the town ordinance 3-3 at slaughterhouses. Discussion on our decision at town hall rental and cleaning.
I'm having people ask if we're going to rent the hall out, and we currently do not have a cleaning person or a crew. Rental is $75 per rental.
Are there any people that are around that do that as a service?
No, there's lots of people that do cleaning as a service.
All right, so we can get bids. right?
Okay.
I make a motion, do we get solicit bids?
Second.
Now, how many times we need to clean it? Once a month?
It depends on if it's rented out. Sometimes after it's been
Yeah,
rented,
yeah.
it needs to be cleaned.
Okay, so it's just on a
As
schedule.
needed basis.
On a needed basis.
Once a month minimum, and then possibly more depending on when it's rented.
Okay, so you'll need that information for your RFP or whatever.
Okay?
Did you second that?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposing, the same sign. Motion carries. Get bids. Discussion on our decision on beach advisory closing procedures. Let's see, I gotta figure out what that document is here. Here we go. Open that up for discussion here. I don't know, I struggle with this one a little bit personally, just because townships just don't have the resources. We're just small, we don't have the staff. When you look at the state law, and that's kind of how we operate right now, by the state standard or state law, I mean, the state kind of wrote it for a reason. They wrote it, in due respect to smaller areas and smaller townships, knowing that they wouldn't be able to go through a lot of, different details and improvements to make it better. And the other aspect of it being a human health issue is time is on your side on this one. The longer you let it sit, better chance it doesn't exist anymore, and it ends up being, potentially a safer environment anyway. So we scrambled, I know the day that we did it, with the advisory, we put the advisory down there and
We got it done.
got it done pretty fast. I like to respect town board members' time, Robin's time as town clerk. We don't have, our website's not the friendliest thing in the world to use from a navigation standpoint, and at some point in time, we'll probably have to visit that to improve it, but trying to do some of the things, with the amount of work with ARPA and all these other things going on, coming in, I think state laws, it's a good law, and sometimes I also feel that some of this stuff, instead of coming down to a township level, should be, maybe at that point, it's better to work with the county and attack it at the state legislative issue, to make it uniform across the table. But that's my personal perspective on it. I don't know if you guys have anything to add on it.
No, we have one beach that we have, that's Ferry Park, right?
It's essentially used by dogs for the most
And
part.
then there's a process, it gets tested by Watertown Health Department.
Yes,
They
Holly.
know
The question is the current testing process as outlined, supported by the board and voted as this is our testing policy that we supported, and then we made some additional recommendations. This all came up because the Land, Water, County Department, Conservation Department updated a brochure or Yeah, well, actually, it was a public safety, beach safety brochure, and all they did was update the link so that if somebody used that brochure to find out which beaches were closed, that it was correct. And then they were told by both the town and the city that nobody had agreed to that testing procedure formally. So we're going to go through the process of having the boards formally say, yep, we're going to test this way. And for the town's perspective, it seems exactly the same. We were just asking that the email blast gets sent when the advisory is lifted, because you do such a great job letting people know that there's an advisory. But then nobody knew that it was off, except if you just happened to go to the beach and notice the sign was down.
Well, Watertown does their testing currently.
Yeah, it's just as outlined there.
Well, and here you have something about volunteers.
If you wanted to make an enhancement so that it wouldn't sit there closed for a week, then you could have people from the parks do it. If you choose not to do that one, that's fine. Then I would just like to know.
We have the one beach, and I spent quite a bit of time down at a lot of the landings this summer. And they do get used, but it's not like Sandy Beach or it's not even close. I mean, you'll get one or two people, and to me, we just don't have the resources, not at this point in time, to deal with it. I think we should continue to operate to state standards. That's my opinion.
So I'll make a motion that we stay with the current beach testing protocol, which is outlined right here. Very far.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed in the same sign. Motion carries 3 votes to all the stay with current procedures.
So then would this be the documentation that we would have saying that the town board approves the beach safe testing? Tom, when you say you need documentation, is this the note that is
we're operating to the current standards that we currently operate on.
Right, which is what was outlined in the memo.
We already know how we operate, so we don't need.
Well, like I said before, you told the.
In the discussion, we're moving
that it
on.
wasn't
We're
done.
moving on. Discussion and or decision of recommendation from the Town Parks Committee to survey all town parks.
Egan. All right, during one of our last meetings, we voted to ask the board to survey, actually this says all parks, we designated 4, being Elm Point, Ferry, White Oak, and Majala Shores. Just from a standpoint of, we really don't know where the boundaries are, as far as even marking them, to find out, where to put up signage, any volunteer groups that would come in to help clean up the shorelines, any restoration projects. We really don't have any idea where the boundaries are.
Can you list the parks again one more time,
Oh.
please? Sorry.
It was Elm Point,
Okay.
Ferry, White Oak, and Majala Shores.
Yeah. Jason, do you think it would be a possibility that you could put Phillips Park onto that list?
Which one?
Phillips Park, where the playground is?
Didn't we discuss that one where we should be able to find the markers, because that one's probably fairly new.
Yeah, and it's pretty much, the more
Cut
like.
lawn and everything.
And a lot of the current owners probably are pretty well aware where the borders are of that one. So if we just kind of went out and followed the line or the lawn markings and metal detector, we could probably find that one ourselves.
Because you're going to be looking at current conditions and, what we need to improve safety and all that, right? That's
That's all part of the package, I think, was discussed in that meeting.
Yeah, 'cause this is kind of like a starting point, just to.
Right.
I mean, there's areas that, like down at Elm Point, we're planting some native species that wouldn't have to mow the lawn down there.
Right.
We're trying to kind of get away from some of that. save expenses for other things, you know, but we need to know where they are. We don't want to be improving other people's shoreline for their house.
Right, yeah.
I think the other thing that was discussed too is if you send in
Volunteer
and
groups.
stuff,
They're not trespassing.
you're not
Right.
wandering around.
Yeah.
on other people's-
That,
Although if they pick garlic mustard, maybe they're new.
yeah,
Only do it once.
or they completely missed our, you know, where our shorelines or wherever are, and so that was the reasoning behind all the, for the surveys.
What happened to the surveys that were done in 93 and 94 when the Parks Committee was designated then?
It was never even formed.
We only had one person that came forward and it just
Never formed.
went away.
I was
This
on
is
the
prior.
Parks Committee.
Oh.
This is
Oh.
in the 90s.
Oh,
We weren't
okay.
on there yet.
Yeah.
I wasn't around either yet.
We had other things on our mind then.
So there were surveys.
For a lot of it, you know, they may not actually go out and survey, it's just a matter of finding the markers. They can probably get you know, the markers are there, they can just take measurements and then just say,
But when I was on the Parks Committee, they actually had a survey done of the parks.
yeah, so the markers are probably there, we just don't know where they are.
I think that at that time we had a $5,000 budget. It took quite a bit of that budget to get someone to come in and
Keep in mind that initial surveys are great too, but I've been in experience with land issues where survey stakes get moved.
Yeah.
And to be legal about this, it'd be really good to get not only the stakes marked, but then, you know, I think you can discuss it about some signage too. So
Yeah.
you don't have to go through this whole process anymore of trying to find those things and people knowing where the boundaries are.
With any hope this committee will stay around, you know, in the long term.
We
Because
have
the parks that we identified are getting a lot of use, so, and that's not gonna go away.
The one at White Oak was wrong anyway.
Well, that was a big,
Pardon?
What'd you say?
I said the survey at White Oak was totally wrong.
When?
Pardon?
When was that?
I don't know if it was wrong, they just didn't know where everything exactly was at the time.
Well, when I was
I don't know.
on the board, we planted those trees and things on the,
Oh, yeah.
East side.
which you found out later, when I wasn't on the board anymore, but Dave was, and then that person built that house, in there,
Right.
and then that was his land. So
I know.
that whole,
So when we do the parks, can we get that wording changed on that document? Because that road used to be,
well, that's what the survey will do, I guess.
because when that house was being put in, the road, it was like a U shape around the road that was the park. But as soon as that went in, that side of the park was eliminated.
Right. Well, not
So-
eliminated it.
Well, it went back to some verbiage when Mike was on the town board, and my dad was on the town board, and it said that, according to the old road, that the property butted up to the road, but then the road was moved over, and the town board never updated that verbiage, so they went back to that letter that my dad and Mike wrote, and assigned that to the new road, which made Davis's property even longer yet. So to start with the park, that should all be corrected.
well, that's what we're
Right.
hoping to accomplish.
That's what the survey will do.
Right.
If you look at the documentation right now, at Jefferson County, they don't even show where the new road is. They show where the old road is.
And then
So it's all screwed up.
I know.
they attached
Hopefully
old
this-
verbiage to that.
Hopefully a new survey will straighten all that out, but.
We have a state marker on our property. It's a state marker that when they were doing all that for the new home, they used that marker and went up the line. It seemed pretty correct to us, you know, where it started up on Shore Hills Road. But on the other side, where Diane Farley is, I don't know,
There's markers over there.
Yeah, that one I have no idea
you know.
how far that goes under.
I can show you where the markers are over there. They're concrete pillars.
West side of the road.
Yeah.
Oh,
Coming up the
On White Oak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's a bank over there.
Yeah, Steve went out anyways.
Yeah.
Survey,
So-
the survey, we had Elm Point, there's a partial beach, I think, probably on town properties. I mean, that's the kind
Yeah.
of stuff that happens when when you don't have things well marked.
Yeah, so this is kind of our starting point.
So when do you plan on doing this survey? Next spring?
Well, I imagine once the board approves it,
Well, I guess I'd want a budget estimate.
okay. Honestly, I have no idea what surveys run.
Everybody else, committees have to provide a budget, so I
Yep.
guess your committee should too.
Okay?
I agree. I don't think you're gonna get a surveyor fast anyway.
No.
Yeah, no.
They're probably 6 months over.
Hopefully it's all GPS and it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, get some estimates from surveyors and,
Yep, and then bring it back.
okay. Can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Next one's me too.
Yep, discussion
Okay.
and preliminary things. Discussion or decision to apply for 2020.
Oh, wait, no.
I'm down.
Nope.
Sorry, check them out. Discussion or decision to remove cable chain on White Oakland.
Yeah, we determined that might be a safety hazard, whether it be a trip hazard. There's a chain that runs from the barrier to a no parking sign. And I did email Robin, in case nobody knew what it was. I do have a picture of it on my phone.
It was put in by the city, I believe, because when the new road was made, there were 3 manholes down below on the park. And the city needed to get at those manholes and pump them. They just pumped 2 weeks ago. They have to continually pump it because the line, the gravity flows down, and when it gets so high, they come every Monday morning and check it. And when it gets so high, they bring a truck in and remove it.
Yeah, they were flushing lines again, but originally the city needed to get down closer to the manholes. Well, with their new equipment, they don't need to. And so they park right next to the barrier there and run a line down and then flush the lines. The town and the city have a padlock on that chain. One side's the city, one side's the town. So you guys probably have a key somewhere. But
That's called the corner grinder.
but it's just as easy to take the nut off the bolt that holds the chain and then just take it off.
I think it was just because they were going down there so often that it looked like a road, and they didn't want people to
drive down
to
in.
drive down in.
Yeah, right.
We're now worried about that somebody may trip over, snowmobile go down there and we'd end up with a decapitation or dismemberment. Yeah. So we're just seeking permission to take the chain down.
Where it is?
Yeah, I know. Where it is. I think we looked at it once a long time ago.
Are we still,
No,
you live down there.
Yeah.
Would there still be a concern with ATVs and snowmobiles coming off the lake in the wintertime and stuff going up there if something isn't put back and, something
Well, we
safer?
usually take the chain down, and then ATVs can go through there and not worry about it, so.
Right.
So you do let them go through?
Yeah.
Oh, because otherwise we talked about putting a rock there.
Well, I heard that you were talking about taking the barrier down and just putting boulders there, which.
Well, it was just the chain we were trying to take down.
Oh, I see, okay. I don't see a problem with it at all.
I didn't know if it, if it's open wide up again, if that's gonna be an issue, and then we're gonna be revisiting this again to do something right there.
I don't think we get that much traffic down there. I mean, we get a lot of foot traffic down there, and they go around the barrier. I know some people bring their kayaks down there and take them down through there as well. And they probably would love to have it taken out of the way, so it'd be easier for them. But, I don't know, I don't see that much traffic going through there that would be a problem taking it down.
First things first, I guess.
I'll make a motion to approve the removal of the chain or cable that's on White Oaks that goes by the barrier.
Second motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. /G.
Cool. All right.
That means you, there's your marching orders.
Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks, Jason.
I have another thing. There's a no parking sign that cable is attached to really in kind of an awkward place. It really should be put right behind the barrier, I would think, because that's where they don't want people parking. Because that's really where the truck comes down, and they park right in front of that barrier, and so they don't want anybody parking there, because then they can't get in there. And the city comes down there at least once a week, checking on the manholes, and then probably every 3 months they come down there and flush the vans.
So did the city put up the no parking sign?
I believe they did. I'm not positive though.
Otherwise, I could just take care of that, just tell the guys I'm gonna take the chain down and have them move it over.
Yeah.
Okay. Discussion and or decision to apply for the 2022 Clean Boats, Clean Waters Grant with the Department of Natural Resources.
We did confirm this is the updated application, so they've got a copy of that.
Make a motion to approve the grant application.
I will second it.
Got a great program. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, in the same sign. Motion carries 3 votes to 0 to send in the application for the Clean Boats, Clean Waters Grant. Any correspondence?
I have a letter from Enbridge that you had received, Tom. It's about a meeting in Janesville on Wednesday, October 6th. So it's already passed.
Big oil.
Yeah, I've
Passed.
been to tons of those.
It was some sort of open house that they had. It's already passed. I'm not going to continue.
And actually, there's 2 meetings there, Robbins. There's one for a safety meeting for public officials, and then there's also a open dinner, community type thing. So
Okay.
I got invited to both of them, but
Janesville or whatever.
yeah. So.
Okay. The other one, I had received a text from Jason Forrest letting us know that that old posting board where the salt box is down on the cul-de-sac has fallen. We need to go pick that up, and I think the boards must have rotted out.
Yeah, we can get rid of that, right? Because we don't post.
We can bring the posting board probably up here because that's made out of aluminum, so that's fine. I think it's just the rest of it's probably garbage, so we need to get that cleaned up.
I can run down and get it. It's a rainy day.
That's it.
That's it?
Sorry.
Yep, excellent. 13, meeting scheduled November 2nd, 2021. Plan Commission meeting, 7 p.m. at the Town Hall. November 4th, Parks Committee meeting, 7 p.m. at the Town Hall. November 9th, 2021, special meeting of the electors. November 9th, 2021, Town Board meeting, 7 p.m. at the Town Hall. November 11th, 2021, Joint Rock Lake Committee meeting, 6 p.m. at City Hall.
And the October 19th budget
The
workshop.
budget and the special meeting for the letter of recommendation.
Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Town of Lake Mills Town Board meeting adjourned.